Hi all. In this lecture we'll see about coding standards, coding guidelines and also about software documentation. So in the previous lecture we have seen how to design a software. So we have seen function oriented design and object oriented design. So after design is completed, next step is to code the product. So coding is undertaken after completing the design phase. That is, after completion of the design documents will be reviewed. It will be reviewed by a team of uh, developers, and if that is reviewed successfully, then coding will be started. So you can code in any language as preferred mentioned in the document. So we'll start our coding, and after completion of this coding, so after coding all the individual modules, what we do is unit testing of the modules will be done. So all the modules will be coded separately, and after completion of this coding activity, individual modules will be tested unit wise. So unit testing will be performed on the modules. So after successfully completing the unit testing activities, then we will go for integration testing. That is we will combine some of the modules together and we will perform integration testing. Then after completion of this integration testing, then system testing is performed. System testing is that is the whole system will be tested. So this is the process. So after design is completed, we will do the coding, and after coding is completed, after individual modules are completed, we will perform unit testing, and when unit testing is completed, we will go for integration testing. That is, we will combine all the modules together. Again, we will perform integration testing. After that, we will perform the system testing. So we will see about coding. So here the objective is to transform the design document into code in any high level language, and then we will unit test unit test the code. That is, we'll transform that each module. That is, a design document we have structured charts or some data. We will have structured charts, or we will have some UML diagrams like activity diagram, all those diagrams, sequence diagrams, all those state transition diagrams, all will be there. So we have to convert those documents, those diagrams into code. And after completion of this coding, we will perform unit testing on the individual modules. So here, most of the software development organizations, they have some coding standards. So if you take big companies, they'll have some coding standards that should be followed by the programmers. So in most of the companies, there will be two sets of coding things. One is coding standard, and the second is coding guidelines. So coding standards are those which should be mandatorily followed by the developers, and coding guidelines are there. Those are just instructions that may or may not be followed by the programmers. So that's the difference between standards and guidelines. So in every organization there will be coding standards and coding guidelines. So coding standards are the mandatory things that should be followed by all the developers in the company, in the organization. And coding guidelines are just a guide to the programmers. They may or may not follow those coding guidelines. Okay. So if we have good standard style of coding, then there will be uniform appearance of the codes. So if there are different engineers working in a software company, if we mention some coding standards, if everyone follow that coding standard, then there will be a uniform appearance of the code. So it facilitates code understandability and reusability. So it is very easy to understand the code, and also reusability will increase. And also it promotes good programming practices. So these are the advantages of having a coding standard in a company. So coding standard, it lists several rules that should be followed during coding. Maybe it may be variables, how the variables should be named, or how the variables should be named, or it may be something like how the error return type should be. Like that, we can have specify some coding standards. And there are coding guidelines which are also prepared by the software companies. but it is not mandatory to follow the coding guidelines. Okay. So what we do is there will be a code review. So after completion of this coding, there will be a review of the code. So what they do in review is they will thoroughly inspect whether the coding standards of the company are followed by the developers. So any code that does not conform to the coding standards will be rejected during code review, and the code should be reworked by the concerned programmer. But in the case of coding guidelines, it provides some general suggestions regarding the coding style that should be followed. But actual implementation, it is up to the individual developer. He may or may not follow those guidelines. Okay. So we will see some representative coding standards, because every company have their own coding standards. We cannot say that these are general coding standards that should be followed by all companies. So every organization will have their own coding standards. So we will see some of the coding standards. That's why it is known as representative coding standards. So we will see some of the good coding standards that are followed in most of the companies. First is rules for limiting the use of global variables. That is, we should limit the use of global variables, because when we use global variables and it is accessed by different modules, the code understandability will decrease. So we should limit the use of global variables. So that is one of the standards that is usually mentioned. Then there should be standard headers for different modules. So almost all organizations will have this standard headers. That is, every code should have some header, every program should have some header file. So it is mainly for the use of understanding and maintenance. So some of the things that will be there in the header will be like this: name of the module, then date on which module was created, who created that author's name, then modification history, then synopsis of the module, what is this module all about, then different functions that are in the module, supported in the module, also the different parameters, also the global variables accessed by these modules. All these things will be mentioned in the header. So it will be mentioned as a comment in the header. So you will understand what is this that particular function is. Then another coding standard that will be followed is naming conventions for global variables, local variables, and constant identifiers. Usually, most of the organizations will mention how to use global variables. What should be the naming convention that should be used for global variables, local variables, and constant variables. For example, global variables should start with capital letter, like this. G should be capital. If global data is a global variable, then G should be capital. Or if it is local variable, it should start with small letters, or function name should be like this. And similarly, these identifiers, these constant identifiers should be mentioned in capital, all capital letters. Like that, we can mention those naming standards. So that is another coding standard that should be followed by all people. Then another coding standard is conventions regarding error return values and exception handling mechanism. So companies, organizations usually mention this thing also, the error conditions. So if some error occurs, what the function should return. So the function should either return a 0 or a 1. Like that we can mention. So whenever an error occurs, the function should return either 0 or 1. So this is a coding standard. Then another coding standard is do not use a coding. So these are some of the coding standards. So these are all representative coding standards. So next we will see representative coding guidelines. So these guidelines may or may not be followed by the programmers. It is up to the programmer. So do not use a coding style that is too clever or too difficult to understand. So this is a guideline usually given to programmers. So we should not, we should code so that everyone understands the code. So usually some people will write some cryptic and incomprehensible code, clever coding. We call it as clever coding. So people won't understand what is written inside. So we should keep the code as simple as possible. Then avoid obscure side effects. So we may not find this side effects by casual examination of the code. So maybe we'll be modifying the pass by reference variable, or we may modify the global variables. All these are may create some obscure side effects because it will be difficult to understand what is happening inside the code. So such kind of things should be avoided. So this is also a representative guideline. Then do not use an identifier for multiple purpose. So we should not use an identifier for multiple purpose. For a particular, if there is an average AVG, some value, some variable name is there, we should use only once that variable name. So if there is, we want to calculate another average, we should use some other variable name. So we should not use an identifier for multiple purposes. Then code should be well documented. So at least one command line should be there for every 3 lines of code. That is the usual guideline that is followed in companies and all. Then length of any function should not exceed 10 source lines. So we may not be able to, sometimes we may not be able to follow this 10 source lines, only 10 source lines should be there in a single function. The code developer may not be able to follow this, but those guidelines are mentioned, so people can follow or not follow. It is up to the developer. Then do not use to goes to strings. So in earlier cases, this is old book. So there were go to statements in earlier programming languages. Nowadays we don't use this go to statement at all. So these are some of the representative coding guidelines. Next we will see code review. So code review, it is different from testing. So in testing, what we do is we give some set of inputs and we will check whether we are getting the desired output. So that is executing the code. In testing, we will actually execute the code. But review is much more effective than testing. So in review, what we do is we try to remove the defects by reviewing the code. What we do is we'll try to find out the defects if there is some problem in the code. So we try to remove the errors in the code before performing this testing. So code review is an important thing in this software development. So it is much more cost effective than testing, because when we without code review, if we directly go to testing, and some of the errors can be found out while reviewing the code itself. What happens is, if we directly go to testing, we have to give some input and we'll try to find out whether we will check whether we are getting the desired output. So if we are not getting the desired output, then some error is there in the code. So we have to find out that error. So it is better not to wait till testing. So after completion of coding, we will just review the code. So it is much more efficient than testing. So here what we do is we reviews directly and detect errors. So testing helps to detect failures, and significant effort is needed to locate those errors. So that is the difference between review and testing. So review try to detect errors, but testing only detects failures, and then we have to locate errors. But here we can directly locate the errors. So there are mainly 2 types of review. One is code inspection and second is code walkthrough. So these are the 2 types of review that are mainly used. So we will see each one. First one is code walkthrough. So code walkthrough, it is an informal code analysis technique. So what we do is a module is taken up for review. So here we have to find out the algorithmic and logical errors of a particular module. So here we try to discover the algorithmic and logical errors. So after the code is successfully completed, all the syntax errors will be eliminated, but there might be some algorithmic or logical errors in the code. So what we do is we try to walk through the code. So here this is an informal code analysis technique. So what is done here is module is taken for review after coding, compiling, and all syntax errors have been eliminated. Then what we do is few members of the development team are given the code a few days before the walkthrough meeting. So there will be a walkthrough meeting that will be scheduled someday, and before that the code will be given to all the development team. So they have to go through the code. They should not execute that code and all. They should go through that code to find out if there is an algorithmic or logical errors, then each member selects some test cases and simulates the execution of the code by hand. So they will give some values like a equal to 5. So if it is 5, what happens? Whether it is executing correctly. Like that, the code will select some test cases and will simulate the execution. They won't run the code. They will simply try to find out whether they are getting the actual result by hand. Then members note down their findings and discuss it in the meeting. So coder of the module will be present in the meeting. So coder of the module will be present in the meeting. So there are some guidelines for this code walkthrough. So if there are, for what here does what happens here is the members will find out if there are some errors. So it will, those errors will be reported to the coder of the module. Then he will be given time to correct the errors. So there are some code walkthrough guidelines. So these are some informal guidelines. So team performing walkthrough should not be either too big or too small. At only 3 to 7 members should be there for that code walkthrough team. Then discussion should focus on discovery of errors, not about how to fix them. So we should find out the errors, but we should not see how to fix them. So how to fix them will be done by the developer himself. And manager should not attend the meeting. So if manager attends the meeting, then there will be some ill feeling for the developer because he might be degraded. So if a developer makes some mistake, that will be known to the manager, then it will affect his career and all. So usually managers will not attend this meeting. So that's all about code walkthrough. Then the second type of code review technique is code inspection. So here what is done is we have to check the presence of common type of errors due to programmer mistakes. So here what we do is usually there are some kind of errors that are usually that people usually that happens usually to the programmers. So where if some like declaration won't be there, if we initialization of some variables won't be there, like that some kind of errors might occur in the coding. So it is, those are programmer committing mistake committed by programmer. So those mistakes will be listed out by the company. So there will be some common type of mistakes and those will be listed out by the organization. So there may be 10 or 20 types of programmer mistakes, and it will be given as a checklist, and this checklist will be given to the team, and the team will see whether all these any of these mistakes are there in the code. So here what is done is we will try to find out the common type of errors due to programmer mistakes. We will try to check whether coding standards are followed. Then these are some of the programming errors checked during inspection. One is use of uninitialized variables. So it is always there. So we might declare a variable, but we may not initialize that variable. So this some kind of error might occur in this case. Then jumps into loops. So maybe there will be some jump into a loop. Then incompatible assignments, array non-terminating loops, then array out of bound index, then improper storage allocation and deallocation, mismatch between actual and formal parameters between function calls, then use of incorrect logical operators or incorrect precedence among operators, then improper modification of loop variables, then comparison of equality of floating point values with some integer or something. So all these, then dangling reference costs when the reference memory has not been allocated. All these are some of the programming errors, programming mistakes made by the developers. So we will list out all these mistakes, and this checklist will be given to all the people, and they will check whether any of these mistakes are committed. So this is also a code review technique. We call this as code inspection. Okay. So before going to this, there is one technique known as clean room testing, which was pioneered by IBM. So this is actually, the code will be, before going into testing, the code will be done walkthroughs, inspection formal verification, everything will be done on the code. So when we go for testing, most of the errors will be eliminated. They call this technique as clean room testing. Okay, so leave it. Okay, we will go into the software documentation. So we know that documentation is an important thing in software development. So document helps in many ways. One is it enhances the understandability of the code. So if we have some documentation mechanism inside the code, then it will enhance the understandability of code and helps the users to understand and effectively use the system. Then helps to tackle manpower turnover. So even if some people leaves the company, if we have a good documentation, then that code can be maintained by any other person. New programmer can also uh, maintain that code. Then production of good documents helps the manager to effectively track progress of the reports. So he can track the progress based on the documentation. So that is also another advantage of documentation. So mainly we have two types of documentation. First one is internal documentation. It is provided inside the source code itself. Then second is external documentation, that is a supporting documents such as SRS. You have already seen how to write an SRS. Then installation document, user manual, then design document. You have already done this design document, test document. All these are known as external documentation. Okay, so we will see the internal documentation. So what is there inside the code? How will you document inside the source code? So comments is an important thing in source code. So we should comment. We should have at least a comment for every 3 lines inside the code. Then use of meaningful variable names. So this will enhance the readability. This is an important thing. Variable name. We give meaningful variable names. We should not give A, B like that. If we want to find the sum, then you have to use the variable name as SUM itself. Or if you want to find the salary, person's daily wage, then you have to use the variable name daily wage itself. Then it will enhance the readability. Then module and function headers. There should be module and function headers should be there. Then code indentation should be there. Then code structuring should be there. That is, it should be decomposed into modules and it should be decomposed into separate functions like that. Then enumerated types you have seen in programming languages. Then use of constant identifiers, use of user defined data types. All these are kinds of internal documentation. That is, these things will be there inside the code. Then external documentation. So external documentation, we have different types of external documentation like SRS and all. So it should be consistent with the code, should be up to date, and every change made to the code should be reflected. Proper understandability by users is also important. So if we are preparing a document, that should be understandable to the user, any type of user. So here, in order to find out whether a document is understandable to a person, there is a Gunning's Fog Index. So we call it as Gunning's Fog Index. So it was developed by Robert Gunning in 1952. So it is a measure to measure. It is actually to measure the readability of a document. So how much it is readable. So fog index of a document indicates number of years of formal education that a person should have to be able to understand the document. So it is actually a value. So it is we have a formula, and if by substituting some values inside the formula, if we get a value like 10, that means 10 years of formal education is needed. That is, you should study at least up to 10 standard. Then only you will be able to understand the document. So if you get the Gunning Fog Index as 15, that means you should have at least 15 years of education. Then only you can read that document. So we'll see what is Gunning's Fog Index. So it is given by the formula fog of D equal to 0.4 into words divided by number of sentences plus percentage of words having 3 or more syllables. So syllables is actually lengthy words. So if syllables, it's a group of words that can be independently pronounced. For example, sentence. Sentence contains 3 syllables. SEN, sentence. So we have 3 syllables in sentence. Like that, if we take education. So we have education. So we have three syllables. So we have to find out the percentage of words having three or more syllables, because if we have lengthy words, that means it is very difficult to understand. It will be a difficult task to understand if we are using some lengthy words and all, like flossy, hilipification, like that. If we are using some words, it will be difficult to understand for the user. So by calculating this, we will get some value. If we have a software document as a paragraph or a textual document, then what we do is we will calculate zero point 0.4 into total number of words divided by number of sentences in that document plus percentage of words having three or more syllables. And if we get some value like 15 or 20, that means you need at least 20 years of formal education, then only you will be able to understand that document. So that's the meaning of Gunning's form index. So that's all about coding standards and coding guidelines, and also we have seen different software documentation. And so we have seen internal documentation and external documentation. Thank you.